a Playlyst original.
Welcome to the Pilot Podcast,
where we review the pilot episodes of TV shows to answer your question, should I watch this?
My name is BJ.
And my name is Mitu.
And this week we're watching Best Medicine on Fox, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms on HBO, Steel on Prime Video, and Ponies on Peacock.
So stay tuned to the end to find out what town BJ would be the town doctor for.
In the meantime, can you tell us what happened in a Maine small town?
Yes, you're talking about Best Medicine on Fox. Based on the British series Doc Martin, we follow Dr. Martin Best, played by Josh Charles, who leaves his illustrious career in Boston to become the town doctor in the same tiny Maine fishing village where he used to vacation as a child.
Well, that's already a heartwarming premise.
I fell in love with this show. Y'all, I can't even play it cool. I truly tripped and fell across this show a couple weeks ago. I did not even realize BJ put this on the list for us to review. I had already been recommending it to people. And what really stole my heart in this show is this heartwarming premise of this man being in this small town. I love like a tiny small town story. I love when there's like a ton of quirky characters. And I think that this is such a well-balanced pilot of we get to see him do a case. The case is kind of complicated and weird and funny. We get to learn a little bit about his background, why he's escaped here. We even get some idea of the town dynamics and gossip, but none of it felt overwhelming. I didn't feel like I couldn't keep track of all that was moving.
I agree. We do meet a lot of people in this town really quickly, but they do a good job of showing us what this community's vibe and energy is like, what the relationship was like with the previous town doctor, and also showing us from the start that Martin Best is not into this social, tight-knit community, but might warm up to it out of necessity.
He already seems to have chemistry with the local teacher, Louisa, played by Abigail Spencer. He has a funny, I hate this person, but I need this person dynamic with his assistant, Elaine, played by Cree. And I love that he's going to kind of have a bestie in Mark, the town sheriff, played by Josh Segarra, who I loved on the other two.
And is Louisa's ex-fiance, so that'll be an interesting dynamic with him in between the two.
Very juicy.
And we also have his Aunt Sarah, played by Annie Potts, which I think is helpful in this type of story where he is such an outsider in this new quirky community. And we have someone who can ground him a bit, he can open up and connect with, so that we do get some revelations that he has a heart and there's more going on than him just not wanting to be friends with everyone.
Yes, she said in this town, you can't run from yourself.
Well, if he keeps passing out like that, maybe he can.
With that, though, to me, this show felt like escapism. It's very pleasant. It's very sweet. I get to just disappear into this beautiful beach town in Maine. Before we hit record, I was pretty surprised to learn that for you, maybe it was a little too mellow.
Yes, I think if we look at the case of the week, not mellow. That was very dramatic. But the whole fun. The whole small town vibe, it seemed a little too slow. There weren't high highs that I would want in a medical based show. And maybe that's me expecting a medical drama versus a more medical cozy show with some lighthearted comedy.
Yes, this was cozy. I think that's why I really liked it. I love a cozy anything.
You do love a cozy mystery, and why not a cozy medical show?
Plus, for a medical show, for us to get into our ratings, I am for sure would watch again seriously on Best Medicine on Fox. For a medical show, and for my fellow babies, it doesn't get gross.
That's helped by Martin Best's own condition of avoiding anything gross.
Which I love and respect. Maybe not the best for a town doctor, but for this town viewer, I'm into it.
I have to agree. I like that it's not too gory or too exposing too much. And I would put this at would watch while eating lunch.
Okay.
It is cozy, and I think you need to come into it with that mindset, and that makes me want to give it another shot.
When I went to my cozy mystery book club, last night, one of the things the facilitator said we should do for next month's book is, because that book will likely not be very cozy, she was like, you should be cozy while you read it. Like, really make the experience happen. Soft seat, blankets, tea, whatever you need. And so maybe that's what you need to understand the appeal of a best medicine, or people like you who maybe don't like a too mellow a television experience.
I need to set myself up for success.
Yeah, you need to come over, hang out with me. I have so many blankets. You know, my puppy loves to sit under the blankets with us, like on the couch.
I have blankets too, and a couch.
Yeah, we'll do it at my house or your house, and I'll bring my blankets too.
I think I can watch it solo. I have a television.
It's a date.
Oh.
Now, why don't you tell us about more Game of Thrones?
You're talking about the latest spinoff, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms on HBO. This new drama is in the George R.R. Martin series, but is a prequel to Game of Thrones and an adaptation of the Tales of Dunk and Egg series of novellas. We're following the hedge knight Duncan Dunk the Tall, played by Peter Claffey, and his squire Egg, or Aegon Targaryen, played by Dexter Sol Ansel. So me too, between the two of us, you've seen the most Game of Thrones. How do you feel about a new story in that world?
I watched all of Game of Thrones. And so I was very hesitant to watch this Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, because I think that for those of us who are not super into sci-fi or fantasy, but we found ourselves sucked into Game of Thrones, I feel like I've seen this commentary around where it's like, I'm done, I'm out. This took too much of my life. So I was not necessarily looking forward to seeing Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. I haven't been watching the other spinoff with the like niece-uncle situation. But what I will say about this is I was so pleasantly surprised by the tone change. It was funny. Our lead was endearing. And I think it could be a critique that not a lot happens, but I liked that it was low stakes. Like in the pilot of Game of Thrones, we learn, and this is sort of a very old spoiler at this point, that these twins are in love with each other. A child witnesses them being in love with each other, and one of the twins pushes that child out of a window to kill them. It doesn't work. But that's like the pilot. Like you watch twins love each other, and then in the romantic way.
Yeah.
And then one tries to kill a kid.
Because they saw, or the kids saw.
Yes. And in this one, we're watching a charming guy on his quest to be a knight, and he wants his mentor to be respected, and he's just trying to joust.
It is an interesting shift. I did not watch Game of Thrones. I saw the pilot when we reviewed it, and I saw some of the final season when people were having watch parties. So the two extremes. And I like that this is a simpler story. Dunk and Egg are just this nice duo where we're looking at the rise of a hero. I don't actually know lore-wise about the Hedge Knight, but we know from this pilot that Dunk wants to be a knight. He wants to be noble. He wants to help people in a world where they all seem skeptical.
And we know a lot is coming for Aegon, and that this is sort of an interesting stop on the way there.
Ooh.
For those of us who are familiar with the lore. But even in that case, from what I can remember on Wikipedia, he's like a pretty respected leader. Like we're not, I think, in this for some heartbreak at the end of it. This seems to be just like genuinely a fun and funny novella adventure. And I really was not expecting that in a Game of Thrones universe production.
And I can see that bright future for Egg, because in this duo, even though Duncan is super tall, Egg is a small child, Egg seems to have the brains and seems to be better suited to take care of both of them, while Dunk is all heart and muscles and maybe not as much of the brains.
They really have a Pinky in the Brain,
Oh.
maybe even Tom and Jerry dynamic.
Yeah.
One's more of a thinker, one's more of a doer.
Mm-hmm. And together, they can accomplish something.
Ooh, or Keenan and Kel.
That works too. Duos, classic combo.
Shout out. Well, do you want to watch this duo in more episodes of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms on HBO?
I think I would watch again casually. I like that this is so different from Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. And maybe this is what can pull me into that universe, because it's, as you said, lower stakes, a lighter tone. And as far as I can tell, no one killed someone in this pilot.
I don't think so.
Cool. That's a win. How do you feel?
I would say for me, I would not watch again
because
Game of Thrones consumed me so completely that I just needed to take a full step back from the entire universe. And I would say that this kind of genre, these medieval stories, it's not typically my favorite storytelling anyway. So I don't think this one is necessarily high stakes enough or intriguing enough for me to keep watching. But it was lighthearted and fun and funny. So if you like this genre, but you're concerned that, let's say, the pilot episode would have twincest and then the attempted killing of a child, you will not find that here. It's almost like Forrest Gump meets medieval lore.
He does have some Forrest Gump vibes.
Yeah.
Okay, so how about we go from Forrest Gump to a suspenseful heist?
You're talking about Steel on Prime Video. Zara, played by Sophie Turner, and her colleague and bestie Luke, played by Archie Madekwe, are office workers at a pension who are roped into a major heist.
And I have to say, from the start, the sound design of this episode, it plays perfectly with the whole show. From the music to the silence to the pauses, it keeps your heart racing.
Yes, there were moments that were so tense because this is such a classic thriller that plays in the tension of what's to come that I noticed the silence because I could hear my own gasps of, oh my gosh, what is going to happen next? What's going on?
Now, in terms of what's actually going on, we see the heist happening, and then there's some things dropped at the end of the episode, but it felt like setup, the whole thing.
Yeah, this was 40 minutes of setup.
Is that good? Because some pilots can pull it off. This one, I'm still deciding.
I think it could have used a little more. However, I think that's what thrillers do, right? Thrillers, there's so much of it that happens in silence, in stares, and trying to anticipate or interpret what is happening versus the big bangs of actual action. It makes me think of the movie Black Bag, which I rewatched recently. And so much of that is like dinner table conversation, literally, until we get to the climax of understanding what these spies were up to. And I think that there were enough seeds. Like, when I reflected on the pilot, I had a ton of questions of who are these robbers? Why do they understand the protocols of this pension? Why do they look like they're wearing prosthetics on their faces? Why did they know exactly who needed to be involved and even how many people needed to sign off on something? I think there was a moment, this is a light spoiler if you, I guess, work in the pension game and or whatever. But there is a moment where one of the robbers was like, where are the 3 executives who need to sign off on this money transfer? And it was so specific. Why did you know that exactly 3 executives in this room need to be the ones to sign off on the amount of money that you're trying to drain from this pension for you and your cronies? So that alone to me was like intriguing, the questions that were in my brain after of like, okay, then who is involved? Is it Luke? Is it Zara? I don't think it's Luke because Luke was scared to his core. But is it even the intern Myrtle that we meet? Because I feel like in a thriller, you also don't meet throwaway people. Like they introduce people who in some way will matter to this story. So I did like the way that it kind of shot a lot of questions through my brain.
I think that's a good point. And I think it is very different in the moment and then after when you reflect on it. Because in the moment, I was sucked in. Zara with Sophie Turner, she did a great job of sucking me into the world and wanting to follow her character to see how she navigates having these thieves come in with guns, threaten people, and she's navigating super stressful environments with real stakes because we see people getting hurt. But then afterwards, I'm like, while I enjoyed the whole episode from beginning to end, when I ask myself what happened, the answer is not much.
I will say when Zara is having to tap in because Luke is just crying at his desk out of fear, unfortunately, that made me laugh very hard. Because I understood him so deeply in that moment where they were like, do this, this, and this. And he just started sobbing. Like he couldn't quite move forward. He was just like, I just don't know. And then she had to tap in and kind of like be the adult. She had to be his BJ.
Oh, interesting. There was a moment when a character reminded me of you. I was like, oh, that's the Me Too of the story. I won't give spoilers to what exactly happened, but a delivery person comes during the heist. And I said, yep, that's what Me Too would do.
And the answer is be a hero.
A hero? Someone was saved, yes.
Someone was saved. Aren't I a person too? Delivery person?
And with that, what would you rate Steel on Prime Video?
I would watch again, seriously. I really liked this. I want to know the answers to the questions I posed. I wrote in my notes, Sophie Turner is doing her good acting in this one. And so, to me, this feels like such a good textbook thriller. If you are Thriller Hive, I think you will want to watch this one seriously too.
I agree 100%. This is a would watch again seriously. The suspense, how tense it is, the music, it sucks you in. Even though there wasn't enough story for me in the pilot, it caught my attention in a way that not all shows can do, and that's enough to keep me watching.
All right. Well, why don't you take us from the pension to the embassy in Moscow?
You're talking about Ponies on Peacock. Set in 1977, two secretaries, Bee and Twyla, played by Emilia Clarke and Haley Lou Richardson, are working at an American embassy in Moscow, and they become CIA operatives after their husbands disappear under mysterious circumstances. So me too, what did you think about women spies in Russia?
Women be spies.
They be spying.
Women be spying. I really liked this. I, as you know, love a story about friendship, especially when it is complicated female friendship. And these are two women who would not have been friends, I think, in any other context.
Nope.
Bee has multiple degrees. She's very ambitious. She speaks Russian. She comes from this immigrant background. Twyla mainly is just bold. She has this hard knock background. She's fearless, but she's not really built for this like 9-to-5 suited up world. And so I don't know that they would have found each other as friends, but now all they have is each other, especially in this very, very covert mission. And so, and in their shared unique grief. And so I really like the possible development of like B providing some stability for Twyla, and Twyla encouraging some boldness out of B.
It's such a fun dynamic because you have the smart one who studied a lot and the smart one who has the street experience.
Yes.
And like some of the higher ups in the CIA said, together they make one good agent.
That made me think about you and me as well. I could see someone being like, together they could do something.
Yeah, I think together we'd make one great person.
Yeah, not agent. Don't ever want to do that. No one listening in, do not ever interpret that from us.
Maybe sales agent.
Sure, yeah. Of that variety, perhaps. Hopefully not commission-based. Ugh.
Oh, I was about to say real estate, but I guess not.
Those people are so brave. Do I get to keep my job? And then this is just extra money?
I don't know. Depends how long it takes us to sell a house.
All right, I guess we'll just table this, as the office girls say. I also like that this show dealt in tension very well. They had these funny moments. They let the air out of the room a bit. But ultimately, I was very stressed. This is high stakes. I want to know what happened to these two men. I especially want to know because they have such different relationships. Like for Twyla, I really just didn't want her last conversation with her husband, if he has not died, to be this argument that they had.
Yeah.
And for B, I really want her to achieve what she hoped to achieve, which was in partnership with that man.
Yeah. It's really sad that those relationships were cut off so suddenly.
Yes.
And I think they set up a lot of great mysteries behind their disappearance and how these two women will at least find out more information. There's some clues that have been laid down, and we're starting to see them pull on the strings. And I want to know how it all plays out.
I like that the way that they're pulling on these threads of mystery is in a way that feels only possible for a woman to do. Even, this is a very light spoiler, there are some clues, let's say, that Twyla uncovers at the market. And her husband wouldn't have been there and wouldn't have been having those conversations at that market to go for the same clues.
Exactly. And it's all because they are ponies, or persons of no interest.
Yeah.
Is that a real term?
Love being a pony. I don't know. But, ponies forever. Nay.
And that sets up another point we should drop in. It's a funny show. As serious and dark as some of the mysteries and the espionage is, there's also a lighthearted vibe with the vibe and the energy between these two leads. And even I'd say some of the CIA people, there's some funny scenes. Like there's a bathroom scene that got some laughs out of me.
Haley Lou Richardson specifically is so funny. She is one of my favorite parts of my favorite season of White Lotus, which was season 2 in Italy. And she had quite a few lines in this one that genuinely cracked me up, like an out loud, even though I was alone on my couch, laugh.
So me too. Will you watch more episodes of Ponies on Peacock?
Yes, this is one I think I'll start watching with lunch. This is fun. I'm intrigued to know what happens. And I think because they use humor so well to balance the tension, this is a nice one to enjoy with the meal.
Ooh, I like that. I think I'll go a little further and watch this again casually. I think how they set up some of the mysteries and the hints at those mysteries, that really convinced me that I want to see this duo take on some missions and try and find their husbands or find out what happened to their husbands.
We need to know.
I'm not convinced with that message the government gave them.
I agree. I think a lot of things are going to come out funny in the wash.
That's how it always happens.
I wouldn't know because I'm a pony. Well, where would you be a town doctor?
Maybe Frederick, Maryland.
Okay, very specific.
Was that not supposed to be specific?
No, I just wasn't expecting. Okay. Do you want to share why?
I want to be in a smaller town, not like a city. I don't want to be a doctor in DC. It's also not a small town doctor.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to be so small and remote that I feel a little isolated. So I think Frederick has some of the cozy vibes, some nice nature and hiking, little shops, but then is not that far away from other major places in the DC area.
Okay. I feel that.
All logistics.
Yeah.
And maybe the real estate market's great out there. We'll find out.
We're coming to a billboard bus stop near you. Just our faces. 2 hearts, 2 brains, 1 decent agent.
Dang.
Well, where can people listen to our 2 hearts, 2 brains, 2 voices talk about more pilot episodes?
All you have to do is head to our website, thepilotpodcast.com, and be sure to follow us on all of your favorite podcast platforms.
You can also follow us on social media at The Pilot Pod, and you can send thoughts, feelings, show recommendations, because every other week we do a show recommended by you, our wonderful listeners, to askthepilotpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.